I wanted to take both of you way back to when you first met. As I understand, it was Jeff's Christmas party.
Oh my goodness.
I understand you didn't have the highest opinion of Michael back then. He wrote, you thought indiscreet, overbearing, boorish.
Well, I had an excuse because I was, in my day, there was a thing called being pinned, like being engaged in college, kind of silly. And I was pinned to a girl who then spent her junior year in Germany. And I sent her a Christmas present when she was back in Ohio. And I never heard from her. And I called her up and her mother said, "Oh, Michael, I have to tell you, she just got married." And I went to a party that a friend of mine who I grew up was giving. And I sat on a couch in the den. Jane was sitting on the floor with a bunch of people. And then I told the entire room my life story with this girl and how she dumped me. And then next day I asked Jane out to dinner and you said no. So she turned me down almost as many times as I turned you down for the film review.
Wait, do you remember how many times he asked you out? And
Not
how many
at all.
Oh,
Not
I
at
remember.
all. Not
You
at
do?
all. Well, that's the right person who should remember.
Well, I remember going to theater. Finally, she said yes. I was so, upset or concerned. And my sister and her fiance were sitting in like the 12th row, and we pushed her, in to sit. And then I attempted to introduce Jane to my sister. Couldn't remember her name. Jane was a tough name to remember. I was so crazed. That didn't help.
But when we met again at that time, he was a totally different person to me. He looked different. He acted differently.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a really bad first impression.
I never heard this. I never heard it. I was different.
I looked at it as a new beginning.
Did I read correctly that when Michael proposed, you had a negative reaction initially?
Well,
yes.
That was also true.
Yes. I
guess it takes twice to make everything work for us.
I had these two rings, one for my grandmother, one for my mother. I had it all redesigned.
And here it is.
Oh, there it is.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah, 2 years later.
It
wasn't like, let me think about it, like in the movies, jumping up and screaming and all that. It was, no, I don't think so.
And you're thinking what?
The more, I guess I never give up.
It was just that at that point I wasn't ready. But I, clearly knew I was in love with Michael, and that was something that was to be grown, but it just was timing.
Take me through what happens where all of a sudden bullets come through the window.
Well, that was a traumatic day. Yeah. Oh, where was that? How did you hear that?
I haven't talked to him. I haven't told him any of this.
We were moving, I'd say, within a week to LA, and I was very pregnant. And we lived in a little, we had a brownstone, which we owned, and I was lying on the sofa. The windows were in the back, and the sofa was here, and I was facing the windows. And I was drifting off, but I heard this noise go by my left ear. And then another shot came and broke the window. Yes, and I don't know what happened to the bullet at that point, but I then realized what had happened and fell to the floor, crawled we had an internal kitchen, and called Michael. And Michael called the police, obviously. And finally, when they got there, they found the bullet. They said, "You're such a lucky woman that you survived this thing." And I thought, I am so ready to leave New York.
So speaking of close calls, you very famously talk about your love of camp. And I read somewhere that you no longer go camping because of a close encounter with a bear that you were there for as well, I think.
Well, this is why we got married. Now I'm trying to remember why we got married. This is it. We backpack in, we go way, way in, muddy, rainy, I'm carrying
Horrendous.
80 pounds, she's carrying 40 pounds. It's pretty unpleasant.
Really unpleasant.
But this is my idea. This is my romantic idea. I am going to convince her, change her mind. We meet these two guys, and they're with us on the trail. They're in a lean-to a mile from us. We're in this lean-to, and to make a long story short, we get, I wouldn't say attacked, but a bear is now stalking us. So we go find these other two guys, 4 of us in the lean-to. And as soon as it got dark, we lay down, and all of a sudden I hear sniffing, like a dog sniffs, but it was in like Sensound. And I look up, and there's a bear with this giant face right in my face, tried to get the food, put one foot on my chest to get him up to the lean-to. The guy next to me picks up a hatchet. I stop him.
Yeah.
A hatchet is not going to stop the bear.
They were totally
Jane
useless.
stayed up all night. I stayed up banging things,
And
keeping
keeping
the
the-
fire going, keeping the bear away. And then we hiked out 10 miles. I thought, oh, if I'm ever going to be successful, this woman is going to help. I actually didn't think that at all. I just thought it was cool.
But on that front, you wrote, our relationship is built on give and take, discuss and rehash, and discuss some more. Give some color to that, if you don't mind.
It's a dynamic that works, obviously, but he'll come up with 12 ideas to do, and then I'll panic, and then I'll think about it.
Your wrist.
I'm risk averse, and then we'll go back. We'll rehash it. He'll give in some things. He knows already from the beginning that they're crazy, and then we'll eventually come to a compromise.
In any marriage that works, you have to respect the other person's advice. And my feeling is, it doesn't matter how different you are, either racially or religiously or geographically. It doesn't matter with a lot of things. What does matter is that you're both on the same intellectual plane. Because if you're not, how do you discuss things out? So to me, the most important thing in looking for a wife, I don't think I've ever told this to my children, look for somebody that's smart. Start there. Then you can go to the looks, all the other, but smart is helpful.
I am a more analytical, sort of logical person. I was a computer programmer. It's exciting.
That was the reason I was attracted to. She made first
Well, I made
job much more money
oodles of
than
money.
I made.
Right.
I thought, and then I thought, wait a second. I thought, oh my God, she's going to carry me financially.
When a player wins the Super Bowl, the first thing you see on camera is what?
Right. Yeah, my great marketing moment. We were in Florida.
No,
we were in
Disneyland.
Disneyland with Patty and Roy Disney, and
George Lucas.
George was there, and the astronauts who were
The two people that traveled around the world on one engine.
tan. And Patty Disney turned to him and she said, well, you've done that. What are you going to do next? And he said, well, look at me. I'm at Disneyland. And so a light bulb went off in my head. And he went into action because they had the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl was coming up.
It was like 2 weeks later, and we had made a decision that it had to be at the moment the game ended. Now that you've reached won the Super Bowl, and are the most valuable player, what are you going to do next? 2 things they had to say before they did anything else. I'm going to Disneyland, I'm going to Walt Disney World. The NFL agreed.
Yeah.
We paid the player $35,000 for that. Phil Simms, who was almost the look of a Disney, in those days, poster child. And we then did it for all sorts of different things. And
But that first one was a giant hit. I mean, everyone was talking about it.
I wanted to ask you guys about the foundation. Started in '96. How did the idea for that come about?
Well, I think we were so blessed, and it was time for us to do something that was meaningful. And it was very easy, wasn't it?
well, we had part of a foundation of my grandfather's.
Right, there was a history in
There was a
Michael's
history.
family.
So we had an education in the foundation, and we started off doing children's things. And Jane suggested we do seniors. As we were getting to be seniors, we saw more and more issues. And then we finally came up with the only foundation in America that does intergenerational. We only support things that have intergenerational strategies.
Yeah.
And explain what that means.
It means seniors and younger people working together. We've developed so many interesting programs and things, that you wouldn't think were meaningful or would be.
We give
you would be
an
doing.
annual prize for the best intergenerational work. We have intergenerational orchestra. You'd see a 12-year-old girl on a cello and a 70-year-old guy. And I said to him, "How is it doing?" He said, "I just follow her." The key is we're trying to have that copied around the country. And we have many programs.
To get programs that we love replicated.
Housing programs for young and old together.
Housing programs are great because we try to put elderly housing on college campuses. And isn't that a
Well,
great
that's cool.
idea?
Yeah.
And I think nobody has replicated it yet, but I think it's the future of social responsibility and the attack on loneliness. Because so many elderly people are lonely, and so many young kids whose parents are working or daycare are lonely, and it puts two lonely people, and here 2 and 2 adds up to no more loneliness. So it's possible. Interesting thing about the foundation to me, we have different points of view here. To me, it is easier to make
Surprise.
money than to give it away. It's very strange. In philanthropy, it is very hard to pick what to do. There's a lot of, and mostly really good people doing that, but there is also a scam group in philanthropy that you have to decipher. It is very hard to monitor it. It's very hard to do it correctly. It's very hard to have the right strategy to not take advantage of tax laws and all that sort of stuff. Whereas it's making the money is, hit television show in my area, hit movie, winning a football game. That's kind of simple. This is much more complicated. So I find the philanthropy much more difficult than the other side.